Our first story today is a bit of a sporty one. It's around sports. I like to think of myself as quite a sporty guy. I took part in a race the other day. Cannelloni, Tagliatelle and Penne, they just flew out in front, absolutely, whew, nailed it. So Spaghetti turns to me and says, hey, look at that, looks like the old pastas. Pastas? Who doesn't like dad jokes? Let's get on with the news. First up today, junior hockey players have been told to put their Fortnite gaming on ice. Prospects from the Ontario Hockey League have been advised not only to cut down on playing, but to remove all mentions of Fortnite from their personal social media. Sports Network's Rick Westhead tweeted recently, an OHL team employee tells me some players have been advised to scrub Fortnite references from social media accounts. Some NHL teams consider the video game a major distraction/obsession. This follows a report in May detailing how an unnamed young hockey pro will not be making the National Hockey League due to a video game addiction. Sportsnet's Jeff Marek stated that he'll play until all hours of the night and into the morning, and then he'll have no energy the next day. I really doubt he's going to make it to the NHL. And it's because of a video game addiction, to the point where his junior general manager told me that they've had him go to counselling over it. How effective this ban is remains to be seen, although we're guessing that players will most likely stick it to them and say, puck you, puck you. I would apologise for that, but you know what you're getting when you come here, honestly. And Lucy's back in the office today writing this part of the script for me. It's not blaming her, it's more like letting her take the credit for it. Thanks, Lucy. Twin Mirror is an upcoming third-person adventure game from developers Don't Nod, the team behind Life is Strange. The game features a protagonist, Sam, who uses near-magical abilities to solve problems. He is plagued with the presence of an invisible man named The Double, a character who is essentially all in his head. That being said, Don't Nod has been keen to stress that Twin Mirror is not an analogy for mental health. Lead writer Matthew Ritter insists that the character talking to themselves or an imaginary figure is more of a tool than a representation. Speaking to Kotaku, Ritter said, quote, these are more just narrative devices. Our character is supposed to have a good memory, and the Mind Palace is meant to be a representation of his very good memory. This isn't a representation of mental illness, so much as a narrative way for the character to be able to talk to themselves and hear that part of themselves that might be slightly more selfish or sarcastic rather than any direct commentary on mental illness. Just watching someone sit there and just think to themselves is just boring in a visual medium. Twin Mirror is due out sometime in 2019, releasing on PC, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. I totally understand why he's trying to veer away from get out of that stigma involved with saying that your game is about mental health. Some people just don't want to accept that gaming is a useful medium for dealing with these issues. And attaching your game to this issue and leading the kind of marketing campaign as like this is a game about mental illness, it can be problematic. However, Hellblade did really well last year, one of the games of the year for us here at PGG. That game dealt with psychosis and it did it in such a tasteful way. They had Professor Paul Fletcher from the University of Cambridge, who is an expert on psychosis and neuroscience, come in to help consult for them for that game. And I feel like part of why Hellblade got so much respect from the community is that it did such a good job dealing with this adult theme. A lot of games will just shy away from it, like probably what we're seeing here. Not to say that I am criticising Don't Nod here, because I can totally see why they want to veer away from it. Remember last year when the UK press rounded on Detroit Become Human for dealing with the domestic abuse themes that they were handling in the game. Games should not be shy about dealing with these issues though, because they're adult themes, right? But that doesn't mean that gaming can't deal with it in a respectful way. People attribute games with kids, right? Kids play games, yeah. It doesn't mean that everyone who plays games are kids. That's just a stigma that everybody outside of gaming attributes to gaming. Like, if you're playing games, you must be a kid, right? And that couldn't be further from the truth. I hope it's just a matter of time before gaming gets the respect it deserves, the way that TV and movies never used to, but they do now. And developers are able to deal with these touchy subjects in games without fear of being panned by the likes of the British press, who we all know have the utmost of integrity. Am I right? Bunch of Let's have some news nuggets. First up, PlayStation Plus free games for September have been announced, and topping the list this month is Destiny 2, which you can download and play right now. God of War 3 Remastered and Another World's 20th Anniversary Edition are another couple from the list. If you want to see the whole thing, check the link in the description. Next up, 2 Point Hospital releases today, and that got a launch trailer. Everybody's favourite daddy dating simulator, Dream Daddy, is getting a surprise comic series, part 1 of which is out today. CD Projekt Magic Red have announced that ThroneBreaker, the story campaign for the Witcher card game Gwent, will come with a campaign of around 30 hours long. We got a 15-minute video of Battlefield 5 running on the new Nvidia RTX 2080 GPU. New Game Plus comes to Far Cry 5 as well as Infamous difficulty mode. And lastly, the Owlboy creator creates a real trailer for a fake game. Links to everything I've just mentioned in the news nuggets are down in the description of this video, so go and check them out if you are interested. Let's move on to the next story. Kotaku recently released a damning report of Riot Games, which saw several employees release allegations against the developers. In the wake of that, Riot Games has now released a statement addressing the issues and how they're going to handle things going forward. Riot Games, who produced League of Legends, formally apologized to rioters. Rioters is just the name of their fan group, not people who are actually rioting. Rioters and contractors, both past and present, but they also apologised for taking so long to make these changes. The company also mentioned how they were humbled by players and how they know that the studio behind a game can affect how you feel about that game. While the problem does not seem to have affected Riot Games' global offices, the HQ has been plagued with allegations from present and past employees for months. To help rebuild the company's reputation, Riot Games' statement detailed the steps the company will take to improve themselves going forward. Some of the improvements to be implemented include expanding the culture and D&I initiative to help improve the team's culture as an environment to work/play in, incorporating third-party evaluations to provide expertise and recommendations to improve, a complete overhaul of their internal investigation procedures, making the recruitment process a more fluid and open system, and doubling down on training procedures, which will see all training programs that were specific to management to be expanded to all Riot employees. Whether these steps are enough to help towards a better and brighter Riot Games remains to be seen, but at the very least, they are acknowledging the problems. And next up, we all know that EA are shit, right? EA Games have pledged to donate $1 million to those affected by the incident in Jacksonville recently. A statement was released on Twitter earlier today detailing how the company will not only give a contribution to the families and recovering victims, but are also setting up a fund for others to donate. There will also be a charity livestream next Thursday, September the 6th. EA writes that they want to bring the gaming community together and unite in play. We've heard from so many of you that you would like to support the victims and to show that this horrific event will not define us, but only to serve to make our community stronger. More details will be shared about both the fund and the charity livestream on the EA Madden Twitter soon. I thought I'd include this story at the end because EA gets a lot of shit, right? And I acknowledge that they do a lot of shitty things. Sometimes they do decent stuff like the EA originals. That is pretty much the best thing that they do. It doesn't get a lot of publicity because it's a positive EA message. I feel it's something that it's really good that they've done here. I just wanted to shine a light on that. There's enough people shining light on shit in the world. I just thought I'd just be a little bit different today. I don't know. I'm just a softie at heart, and I'm just a softie. But that's it for your daily dose of gaming news. I'll be back tomorrow again, exactly the same time. Hit the bell if you want to be notified when the video gets released. I will see you then. Until then, bye for now.